course with a few folk, and I thought I'll just record. Hello. I thought I'll just record what happens on the paper. So we'll see. I hope it's not interrupting anyone's view. Vanessa, can you see all right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's see now. And maybe I'll ask somebody if you could maybe could someone time me for 20 minutes? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got it? Andy's got it there, I think. Thanks, Andy. Okay. Let's see. All right, so as I kind of settle down, that's lovely, Layla. Yeah, beautiful. As I settle down now, I'm kind of noticing, are you okay? You feel comfy enough? Yeah. I'm starting to visualize the space that she's occupying on the paper and where I want to generally have the head and shoulders and maybe a bit of breathing space in front. So I'm starting to visualize the blocks of, the shape of the hair, the diagonal of the hair, and how that might be described. And I'll maybe just begin by mixing a colour for the hair. As I was looking at the hair there too, I was kind of noticing that actually the volume of the hair is not unlike the volume of the skin. That there's about the same amount of hair as there is skin on the face, So it's just helpful to kind of half close your eyes and see in that general way, So you're just seeing the general darks and lights. Now, I've got myself a new palette because I lost my other one, so it's all a bit slippy. If anyone's got a new palette, you'll know that it resists the paint for a while, but sure, it's grand. Okay, so that colour there is Van Dyke Brown. Van Dyke Brown. And then ultramarine blue. You're kind of getting yourself sorted in the first few minutes as well, and take your time with that, it's okay. So that's the Van Dyke blue. No, it's not. Ultramarine blue and Van Dyke brown. I don't think I've ever said that before. Alright, so I'm going to mix those two together in order to make a dark colour that will represent the hair, hopefully. So there's the, oh Jesus, straight away.
It's the beauty of both.
Big glob on the floor. We can clean it off here. There's a lot though, so I'm just going to be stingy and put it back in. Alright, so you see there, it's not creating a pool down here, but it's fluid enough that, it can make a mark. It might make it a bit more fluid actually, but it's still holding its own vertically. Alright, and now I'm going to steady myself best I can. And with my eyes half closed, I'm just seeing if I can locate the angle of the top of the head. It's a bit off the horizontal. So where the top of the head stops and the colour of the curtain behind begins. I'm going to make a little bit more of that. Okay, and a bit more water. And I'm going to look again. So the angle of the top of the head. And remembering that I want to leave space here. So I'm carrying on that up to the crown, the highest point of the head. And then I think there's an area that, let's see. So it kind of goes back this way then for a while. So that the back of the head has an angle that's kind of like that. Yeah, and I'm kind of seeing that in general, it's almost straight down here, like the edge where the hair stops and the curtain starts at the back is almost vertical really. I'm just continuing to look. You sometimes feel if you're looking really at one particular bit and with that curious attitude and back with your hand, that you sometimes, I think it was Rick Rubin who said, you leave your body or leave your mind at the door and just bring your body to it and your body knows what to do. Sometimes if you're just looking at the thing and painting it at the same time, you find that something happens, that there's a response that feels that you're absorbing the information and it's somehow managing to come out here. That's the ideal thing, isn't it? If it happens on its own, it's great. I don't know if that made any sense at all, but I was feeling like I was doing this in order to kind of let myself find it really. Let's see now. And at the front where the hair stops and the skin starts, on the face it gets a little bit dark again. Something like that general shape for the hair, I think. And then there's a dark area below the ear. Again, we've got the vertical of the neck, that if I was to extend the neck up through it, it would cut through the crown about here, you know, slicing the hair shape in two. Okay. Alright, so let's see now. Bring a bit more colour into it. And it is helpful too to keep that movement if you can. And if you're sitting, just leaning back, so you're keeping yourself at arm's length from your board. Okay. And then over on the other side of the forehead there's a little bit of hair over there too. That explains the shape of the forehead really. It's one side of the forehead explained by that little sliver of hair that's overlapped by the face. And now I could go down and try and get that other piece of hair that's explaining the chin shape, but it's a bit of a big ask, you know, it's a satellite all on its own out there. And I want to give myself a bit more ease, like, gee, because, you know, how can I plant that bit out? So I'm going to see if I can make a colour for the skin coming across here, so the jawline extending out is a helpful thing to find next, I think. And so I might just even still leave that colour in there and put in some burnt sienna. Is that on the list?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I won't leave it in there. I'm going to leave it right here out and start with, thanks Joe. Okay. I'm going to start with the ultramarine blue and the burnt sienna, you know, rather than keep the Van Dyke brown in there. Ultramarine blue and the burnt sienna, I think, will give me a colour that will represent something of the shadows on the skin there. And holding it vertical so I can see how the colour behaves on the vertical before I paint it onto my paper. You might have a scrap of paper that you can stick on and see the consistency and colour of the paint. Okay, so next now I'm aiming to try and find where the jawline comes out of the hair shape there. Like I suppose all the time I'm trying to find the simplest way of transferring the information I've just seen, and it's just step by step. And the simplest things at the start, I suppose, are capturing the biggest shapes, you know, and then you can stand back and consider, okay, what's the next thing that will help to make order for me? And it'll be different for everybody, I think. Okay, let's see. So finding the line of the jaw there, and it kind of helps us because the line of the jaw is going to be where the neck shape stops and the face begins. And when I see over here, like the neck sits back from the forehead, maybe about here-ish, you know, something like that maybe. But none of this is set in stone. We can, you know, it's possible to move. It's possible to continue adjusting edges. And there's something I think exciting about adjusting. There's something exciting about adjusting an edge. Just wanted to make that a bit more kind of hairy. There's something exciting about adjusting an edge, and I think it gives it's like it's lovely in your painting at the end to maybe see some of your finding lines, to see the painting, the evidence of the painting process happening, kind of thing. So I suppose there's a cast shadow of the head now on this side on the neck, isn't there? So I could just even still keep with my fairly broad marks. I'm going to continue with the bigger brush. And a bit more.
10 minutes in.
Okay, thanks. Gosh, you've done this before, have you?
Oh, no, but I just thought I'd like to know.
Yeah, it's a very good idea. So the cast shadow of the head now is over here. Let's see. I'm noticing where the end of the shadow stops and the light on the chest begins there. Okay, let's see, and then the horizontal of the chin. Okay, it's kind of exciting having the children's dancing energy with us today. We could do keeping up a bit of that. Okay, and then I think under the cheek, so here, it seems to me like there's a kind of a panel, and it's difficult to see really, but with my eyes half closed, I know that the forehead is brighter than this side of the face is. So I can afford to reduce this side of the face and bring some of the shadow into that side. So, let's see. It might not be that I'll fill the whole lot in, but just as a way of kind of beginning to find things like the socket of the eye, which will sink back from the bridge of the nose. You can see how the light is on the bridge of the nose. Let's see. And we can, play with the edge of the hair a bit. But just for now, I'm going to see if I can find the location of the features. And I'd recommend for you the first half an hour, do your best to do something to describe the hair, something to describe the skin of the face, something to describe the neck, the tilt of the shoulders maybe. And when I say something to describe them, an inspiring surface to work over that's not been laboured, do your best to bring space into yourself and your work. So you're standing fully occupying the space that you're in, and from there, look with your whole body, look, at the thing that you're trying to. I'm telling myself this too, because you keep having to remember all of that stuff, All right, I'm setting myself up now, aren't I? Let's see. So am I push and lift for the eyebrow, which will explain the fourth side of the forehead shape. So the direction of the eyebrow there. And then there'll be a little dip of there's a kind of a dip before the extension of the nose. So I know that I can create a little bit of a bridge across from one eyebrow over to the other. And this eyebrow to me looks a little bit higher than that one. Yeah. And I think what I'll do is I'll find the edge of the nose through looking for the angle of it. And to explain it, I'm going to paint the dark, the socket of the eye colour up to meet it. Don't really want that drip going straight down the face at that point, because I want the curve of the nose to be evident there, A bit more of the burnt sienna again, I think. Okay. I mean, the nose is almost vertical, but not quite. I'll just see if I can make that a bit clearer, that edge. And then carry on with the socket of the eye here. There's something to describe the shadow that sits underneath the nose, so that we know the distance between, I can kind of roughly figure out where the nose might be located, between the eyebrows and the chin, and just some sort of a shadow there. When I say some sort of a shadow, I don't want this leg sticking out that way though, really, so I'm just going to interrupt that a bit. Okay, yeah, and then maybe pull it down here, like there's a kind of a shadow here. Can be helpful, I think. I don't know if you've got these brushes, but they can be quite inspiring to work with, because they, well, I think they encourage boldness. Holding the brush, you feel a bit like you've got a weapon, and you're able to do something general. And I would aim for the bigger brush rather than, to go with the bigger brush, rather than err on the side of going smaller. I would recommend that you go bigger, so that you have bigger strokes that overshoot, that you can later, if you need to, model a little more if you want to. But oftentimes you find that the overshooting marks capture something, maybe a bit more of the sense of it. We kind of aren't stopping really at our skin, are we? There's something about the long, having the energy of the move. Do you know what I mean? Something about that. I'm not really clear. That thing of kind of the part where it touches the paper is only part of the mark. Like you're working up to it, and you're finishing it off sometimes as well. Like, and even beforehand, I think it's helpful to do it for yourself first in the air. You know, if you know that you want the head going back in space, make it happen dynamically with your body, and then you'll do it with the brush. But I mean, you mightn't do it. It's all a bit shaky, isn't it? But it's kind of fun too. Okay. Now, so I'm going to aim to explain something for the upper lip is another. There are certain parts that I think are really helpful to look for when you're painting a face. So something to describe the angle of the eyebrow is number one. Something to describe the shadow beneath the nose, just to say this is where the nose is located, is number two. Number three is the shadow of the upper lip. And that's what I'm going to see if I can explain now. So there's a steep slope up from the left because she's turning away. And then I think it's almost horizontal where the corner of the mouth is on this side. We've got the eyebrow coming into about here, I think. And the corner of the mouth sits a little bit to the right of that. And it kind of corresponds somehow to the angle of the eye here as well. I don't know why, but it seems to kind of work to knit those together somehow. And then I'm just going to see if I can find the line dividing the lips maybe. I'm putting a touch of ultramarine blue into the colour so that it's got a bit more depth of tone, and holding the brush horizontally like this will help me to plant the horizontal line in the middle, dividing the lips there. And then I think it seems to drop away, but I don't really want to do the full line dividing the lips. I'm going to move to a slightly smaller brush now and see if I can, I'll just stand back a bit, maybe just fill in the shape of the upper lip, which to me reads as being a touch darker than the skin around it. So the upper lip, I'm just looking at the general kind of hill of that and how it slopes towards the centre line and then down over for the corner. And then there's the shadow that sits underneath the lower lip, which is a very helpful one too. So we're talking about eyebrows, underneath the nose, the shadow of the upper lip, the shadow beneath the lower lip. And if you put a touch of sap green into your red colour that had been the lip colour, and that had a little bit of alizarin crimson in it, I think, that was the red there. If you put a bit of sap green into that, then you arrive at a colour that doesn't look like lip colour anymore, but that will explain the little dip that maybe sits underneath the lower lip there. And it might be that same colour. Well, let me see now. And it's possible to fill in all of these areas. You're thinking to yourself, my God, that's a lot of space for the lower lip, but it's not fully defined yet. It's just these 5 steps that are helpful. And 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, the 5th one then is when you come down to maybe to anchor the face down by placing the chin and just the edge of the face where the corner of the mouth, the little channel of skin that sits there between the corner of the mouth and the hair over to the side there.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, is it? Oh, thanks. Okay. And I'm going to use that same greenish blue colour to go back up to these eyebrows and plant the horizontal shape I'm seeing in this eyebrow here a little bit more clearly, and noticing that I wanted it to extend a little bit further out now that I've done a bit more down here. We've got the little bit of the brow bone coming out, but I'm not interested to do the whole thing for now. I want to go to the other eyebrow and to find the direction and the kind of depth of tone that's here. Holding the brush like that lets the paint drop more into the tip of it, so you use the fluidity to create the tone. And it can be an easier way and feels more bold. Anything where you're opening your body, so you use your brush to come in from the outside or out from the inside rather than coming up and hoping for the best. There'll be a bit of that too, but pretend that you're bold, it'll take you a long way. Okay, so holding the brush again that way, I just want to finish because there's an angle this way in the eyebrow too, but I think for now I'll still keep going with the socket of the eye, the shadow in here, how it sits diagonally back maybe. And just a few, bringing that tone into other places so that I can make a little bit of order for myself and feel that it's all coming up together. The Cézanne quote, my painting holds hands and comes up together. I say that in a glib way because people who know me have heard me saying the same things for years, I think. But it is true, I think, having energy everywhere. Keep yourself lively. The whole thing is moving. Even the spaces are significant. So you want to always be keep an eye on the full picture as well as the particular part, that you're honing in on for this single move. So it's a bit of that's time, is it? Can I take one more minute, Layla, is that okay? Or not? That's the thing, the spiraling in and spiraling out. I think that's the creative kind of inhale, exhale thing. And I was just going to use the ultramarine blue into that to kind of explain where the hair stops here. And you might even do a bit of a splash to, I didn't do any of that, did I? But you can kind of use your palette as a shield. You look horrified, Louise. You could use your palette as a shield to cover whatever you want to keep. And let yourself be a little bit wild. We're full of wild energy and we don't often get to use it. So let this be a space now where you can embrace that wild. And it doesn't have to be coherent, especially today. This is your first day. Don't worry about making a blessed masterpiece, Thanks, Layla, you can stop. Sorry, dear God. Sorry about that. You're brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, so you get the idea, But keep an eye on how your physical body is. Roll the shoulders back every so often. Sit down regularly. If you're standing at your easel, for God's sake, build in pauses regularly. And maybe even every third mark. You're doing your best to, your biggest gift is your attention, and you're trying to hone that best you can to really pull out what you're needing. So look after yourself and you'll see what you need to see. So do your best to, gosh, too many words altogether. Oh, yeah, is an answer. So you're going to be down there, and what do we do? Half an hour and then a break? Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
No, half an hour and then a break, is that alright for us?
We don't use pencil or anything, it's just kind of straight into the brush. This is the challenge, I suppose, if you choose to accept it. You're free to. Well, and the thing is, it's sometimes a real shift in the head, because some people really do work with line far more, and they know what line does. So feel free to use line with the brush, but I recommend maybe not using a pencil, because I find sometimes, I just think it's good to play with this approach. Try it. Okay. That was actually mine is far too looking. Sorry?